Ready to go? Good evening, everyone. Welcome, and welcome to our regular council meeting for Wednesday, November the 26th. I just want to let everyone know that this meeting is being audio and video recorded and live streamed on the Town of Innisfil's YouTube channel and shall form part of the record, which will be retained according to the town's retention bylaw. And if you want more information on that bylaw, you can contact Clerk Services. So I want to welcome everybody here tonight, staff, council, and the public and those watching online. Thank you so much for being here. And we will now ask Councillor Alex Waters to deliver our land acknowledgement statement, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Town of Innisfil acknowledges that the town is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history. The town also acknowledges that this land is the traditional territories of the First People of Turtle Island. It is shared between the Anishinaabe peoples of Beaujolais First Nation, Chippewas of Rama First Nation, and the Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation, and we thank them for their generations of stewardship. This meeting place is still the home of many Indigenous people, and as settlers, we are grateful to have this opportunity to work on this land. The town acknowledges that the forced sacrifices that are the foundation of Canadian society today, we are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and the respect with all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit.
Thank you very much, Councillor Waters. So before we start our meeting tonight, I want to take a moment, and we're here tonight to honor Miss Kim Creamer. Kim has been a constant at our council meetings over the last few decades, and tonight is her last meeting with us before she retires at the end of this year. Kim, we want to thank you for 36 years of dedication to Innisfil. I think you're probably the only one here that was here before I came. From her start in 1989 in the CAO and the mayor's office to becoming assistant clerk in 2011, Kim has been a trusted and steady presence. It's hard to narrow down the impact that Kim has had on the municipality to just a few things. Kim was a huge supporter of our annual pitch-in events. She did it every year for so many years, dragged her families, her kids, her grandkids, and everyone with her. She also helped launch the Breaking Down Barriers program, which has brought awareness to the importance of municipal accessibility committees and has greatly impacted the education of our students and broader community on the importance of being an accessible community. Due to their great work, Kim and the committee were the recipients of the David C. Onley Champion Award in 2016. Kim has made a decision to move north with her family to enjoy her retirement. Kim, on behalf of myself, council, and staff, thank you for your extraordinary contributions and the legacy that you have left behind. Every time you took on a project, you did it with passion and you were all in. We wish you years of happiness in your little slice of heaven. And knowing you, I bet you will continue to find ways to give back to your new community. So now I just have a small token of appreciation, and then I'm going to ask council to come down for a photo. So that's 2 council meetings in a row. I've had to give out flowers, so nobody else gets to retire, please. Next, we're on to item 2, which is our open forum. Open forum is an opportunity for 2 minutes to speak on any item that's on the council agenda this evening. And we did have one person sign up, and that is Cole Mumby, who wants to speak to item C.1, the animal bylaws. Whenever you're ready, Cole.
Definitely. Evening, council members. Wasn't planning on speaking so early, new to this all. We're getting rid of, or housekeeping, animal bylaws. Now, housekeeping in an environment where I come from is getting rid of. Looking at what the housekeeping plans are is pretty much the same thing. We're getting rid of, or choosing, or trying to get rid of laws that protect the victims of animal attacks, also those owners of dangerous dogs. I've been in and out of the courts a few times, watching what happens through DOLA. There's no opportunity for coming back from what has happened through DOLA. Getting rid of this gives no opportunity for those of the victims to explain themselves in the situations, nor those of the people that the dogs that have attacked, given no chance. I found this little pamphlet right in the hallway there. Strong candidates are professional, ethical, accountable, confident, communicative, communicators and active listeners, informed local issue, key responsibilities, collaborating with governments, multiple things that you're looking for and things that I don't really see. I left a sign in the hallway informing people what they're walking into, and somebody chose to turn it around. This information, lack of sharing with the public. I really want the public to know what's going on with our bylaws, and I'd like our bylaw officers to hold up to their jobs. Don't try and get rid of stuff, please. You know, that's really all I have to say. My husband's going to say more later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cole. That's all of the open forum participants this evening, so we'll go to item 3. Item 3 is the approval of the agenda. We've had one addition and we've had one removal on tonight's agenda, both of them in delegations. Mover and a seconder, please to approve. Moved by Deputy Fowler, seconded by Councillor Eisses. All those in favor? That is carried. Item number 4, disclosures of interest. Do we have any disclosures of pecuniary interest on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, if one becomes apparent to you during the meeting, please state it at that time. Next is item 5, presentations and petitions. We have none, so we'll move on to delegations by members of the public. And our first delegation will be Joseph Coda. And Joseph is speaking about the enforcement housekeeping bylaw, item C.1. Mr. Coda, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Innisfil Town Council, I would like to first thank you for taking the time to hear and understand the concerns of your community. In regards to Section 8 of our bylaw, the Dangerous Dog Act, you are attempting to near total abolishment. We as your community have become extremely concerned with the recent information acquired in regards to the discussions of council and the almost entire removal of our much needed Section 8 dangerous dog current animal control bylaw. This year, we have been made aware of 12 individual dog attacks in the town of Innisfil. These have been reported this summer through our provincial courts, not taking into account the endless stories told from your citizens of unreported near close encounters with unknown dangerous dogs, which our laws protect us against. 4 cases will be shortly presented before you tonight, all happening on your streets and reported. Each example carrying with it a great deal of loss, concern, and utter disbelief. The first account was a fatal attack occurring on September 29th of 2025 in Lefroy, where an owner was going for a regular routine late morning walk and was attacked by a known aggressive German Shepherd on a residential road. The German Shepherd was off leash and unattended, with the owner nowhere to be found. The owner of the toy poodle walked away with few visible injuries and now suffers from PTSD, depression, and physical shoulder, back, hip, and knee pain on a regular basis. His companion, small toy poodle, was brutally mauled and killed. But the trauma of such event will now live strong in this individual for the entirety of his life, resulting in severe mental health issues alongside with physical distress. The second, another case with a different breed, this time a Corgi who luckily escaped the fatal attack. The Corgi breed is known for their thick coat, tough skin, and quick legs. The attacking dog, registered as an American Bulldog, is known to escape the owner's property often. Neighbors of this area have stated their concern with us where bylaws aren't in effect, as there is no fence on the property of this dangerous dog, nor is there signage or a stable structure for the known aggressive dog, etc. These requests of the neighboring properties were ignored by our town, leaving these neighbors fearing what may happen to their children and their own dogs, who can no longer be allowed to have the simple enjoyment and pleasures of childhood and pet activity and regular needs, as playing outside or use of their own property is no longer an option. A third case, most recently brought to our attention when a small child of a couple weeks ago was attacked and bitten in the face by an aggressive dog while playing in Alcona, now leaving this child with numerous stitches on his face and a possible lasting scar of irresponsibility on the town and the owner. Not only will this affect the child's physical self, but also the child's mental well-being, as any attack on a human or an animal would result in a lifetime of trauma. The fourth case and final that I will present to the council is the other side of this type of attack. Many people have also brought up the concern of their bigger breed dog being looked at as a dangerous dog because of their size having an unfair advantage to these bylaws. I have informed these individual concerns with this false narrative and ensured that these laws will apply to many different situations. For example, one of these concerned citizens is the owner of a Mastiff breed. This dog was attacked by a smaller breed, and the responsible owner of said dog took the proper precautions and already took it upon themselves to muzzle their dog prior to this attack. When this attack occurred, the small dog was off leash and running at large, then attacked the Mastiff. The owner had restrained their dog to not cause harm to the smaller breed. This owner of the Mastiff now has a dog who suffers from trauma of not being able to defend itself, which has left the dog with more aggressive behavior, which now affects the lifestyle of this pet owner, who had already been following guidelines without having the law official to order these restrictions. Here, council members, are only a few representations of the exceeding amount of dog attacks and running at large dogs we deal with in our town, in your town. Section 8 protects the victims and the owners in all of these traumatic events. Why are you choosing the easy path and surrendering your ability to make Innisfil a safer community? Your citizens ask you to be our first wave of protection in scenarios with dangerous dogs, and you've shown no interest. Present cases confirm just this. There is no means to justification to an end of responsibilities on your behalf when the laws are and have been written in black and white. There are these are the very laws of which every member of the town has sworn an oath to. No change, no excuses. Since dealing with the prosecutor of justice of peace, as well as animal rights lawyers and personal legal counsel, we have become aware of the laws and rights we as citizens are awarded. DOLA, or Dog Owner Liability Act, is in support of our current municipal laws. Therefore, our bylaws must be enforced at the time of an incident to protect your citizens. Why do your bylaw officers ignore their sworn duties alongside countless videos, photos, and witness statements from concerned tax-paying patrons? We still receive no lawful actions. Here we stand, citizens protecting citizens from their very own council who swore to better protect our well-being, mental health, and preservation of Indigenous spirit. A dog is a person's main support of medicine, providing love, respect, and true understanding. We must seek and enforce the laws that protect our animals, and not simply throw them into an already flooded provincial legal system. Take pride and act inward. Do you want to be known as the council that made a difference for us as we here today voted you to do so? Current laws that we think should still be placed in there is the clerk of the town shall have the authority to designate a dog a dangerous dog. Where the clerk of the town designates a dog as a dangerous dog, the clerk shall serve notice upon owner to comply. Requirements section 8.3, the notice shall include a statement the clerk has reason to believe the dog is a dangerous dog, the requirements that the owner must comply within accordance with the bylaw, and when such requirements take effect. A statement that the owner may request within 3 working days of the receipt of the notice and is entitled to a hearing by council of the town. Requirements pursuant of section 8.8. Others that we believe should stick in there. Upon receipt of notice from the clerk of the town, the owner of the dangerous dog shall ensure that the dog is licensed, the dog is spaded or neutered, the dog is muzzled at all times when off property. When off owner's property, dangerous dog must be muzzled and have a leash of no more than 1 meter or 3 feet, or under the responsibility of an adult 18 years or older. On the owner's property, the dog must be contained indoors or locked in a pen 2 meters by 4 meters, also embedded 30 centimeters, 1 foot into the ground. Signs displayed at every entrance of the property or building in which the dog is residing. The owner must acquire liability insurance satisfactory of the town of $1 million, with provisions requiring the town to be notified of any cancellations, termination, or expiration of the policy. The dog must also be microchipped.
1 minute, Mr. Coda. 1 minute left.
Okay. Today we stand here urging this council to reconsider the removal of Section 8 of our bylaw, Dangerous Dog Act, and reassess the benefits it has for our current town and what it will do for the success of our community if we choose to enforce it as it stands. Do not remove Section 8. Instead, educate the public on the responsibility and requirements of dog ownership in Innisfil. Consider the victims of these now crimes along with the families and children and beloved pets. Our animals are more than property. They are family until treated otherwise. We, your citizens, ask you to stop ignoring our rights and stop treating us as property and more like family. Just as the Indigenous tribes did, they first flourished on these lands, living closer to their code of love and law for animals, as you already claim to do. They believed worldviews generally positioned humans as part of nature and reciprocal responsibilities to all loving beings. Laws stem from duty to respect animals as fellow persons or relations. To the respect of the Indigenous people, they also believe that animals are seen as the original lawgivers, and their actions establish legal principles for human conduct as community governance. We may be separated by lines and titles, yet stemming from the same resolve. Consider the due justice you allow to be so easily given away for our animals and those affected in these cases. Consider the crime mentality that you are welcoming into our town with such lack of compassion and concern with these ongoing issues. Had this happened to a child, would your reaction have been the same? Please consider what you are about to do and the repercussions of your choices today as we make history for our township. We ask council members, what do you want to be remembered for? Let us come together and establish a better plan for our town, citizens, and animals. We, the citizens of Innisfil, ask you to not let our community become a place full of risk, danger, and risk. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Coda. If you could just remain there while I see if there's any questions from members of council. But first, let me say my condolences on the loss of your pet.
Thank you.
Questions or comments from members of council? Deputy Fowler.
Just a quick question overall for bylaw. When these items go to court, is the town also brought into this?
So Deputy, we're going to deal with this at item C1, but if you had questions for Mr. Coda now, you can ask questions. And then what will happen is I'm sure someone will pull item C1 and then we'll debate the bylaw at that time. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Coda? Seeing none, thank you so much for your time. And as you heard me tell the Deputy Mayor, when we get to item C1, we'll be dealing with that staff report and at that time.
Truthfully, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Could I please have a mover and a seconder to receive the delegation, please? Moved by Councillor Zanella, seconded by Councillor Waters. All those in favor? That is carried. Our next delegation is from Salman Mangla, and it's regarding the item C2 on tonight's report. Welcome. Thank you. You have 10 minutes for your delegation tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I am here this is Sheikh Hadi, project manager of the Jamia project. And we are here to present our comments on the staff report on parkland dedication bylaw, exemption request from manager planning in Innisfil Town. We extend our sincere gratitude to the respected mayor, respected deputy mayor, and respected members of council for granting us the opportunity to speak today. We also wish to thank the respected manager of planning for the thoughtful presentation of the subject report. Just to remind the council that our exemption request was based on the following facts. The owner, AMJ, Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, is a registered non-profit religious charitable organization. Jamia Ahmadiyya Canada offers boarding and education to students free of charge. It operates under the charitable registration of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat Canada, AMJ, that provides worldwide services to humanity. As per general understanding of the intent of the Planning Act, Section 42, 6 and 6.2, no conveyance or payment in lieu shall be required in respect of land used for place of worship or for a cemetery. Our basis of the exemption request continues. Number 3, Jamia Ahmadiyya Canada is a registered non-profit religious educational institution that provides advanced training for missionaries and religious scholars within the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, AMJ. The Jamia operates under the charitable registration of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat that provides worldwide services to humanity. According to the staff report, AMJ is not a non-profit housing development as defined by the Development Charges Act, and is therefore not exempt from parkland dedication requirements. Our comments are as follows. It is our understanding that the proposed hostel building will provide purpose-built on-site residential accommodation for 135 students. Should this facility not be constructed, this is very important, please. Should this facility not be constructed, the institution would be compelled to house these students within the town of Innisfil rental market, thereby imposing additional high pressure on an already constrained housing supply. Accordingly, the proposed hostel and staff residential buildings meaningfully align with and support the intent of the Planning Act by reducing external housing demand and ensuring that student accommodation is delivered in a planned, coordinated, and context-appropriate manner. Legislative purpose appears to be its application on profit-motivated developments and not to burden the non-profit charitable communities like AMJ, who spend millions of dollars on the projects of service to humanity. Under best practice review, the staff report mentions looking beyond Simcoe County boundaries, there are some municipalities, such as Caledon, which provide a blanket exemption for a place of worship. Our comment accordingly, Jamia campus includes the new mosque, which is a focal point and qualifying place of worship, serving all Jamia buildings and local residents. Student residences are integral to educational religious purposes. Staff residential building integral to the Jamia project. In view of above, it is respectfully requested to provide exceptional exemption to Jamia project. The mosque can be exempt as a place of worship as per intention of section 42(6). Hostels integral to institutional religious education. Entire development serves charitable, educational, and community purposes. The town of Innisfil has discretion under section 42(6.2), according to our understanding, to exempt the full campus from cash in lieu requirements, recognizing its institutional nature. We need some clarification about calculation of the cash in lieu. The report says payment of money in the form of cash in lieu of parkland shall be calculated on the land value. We agree, but we need some clarification. The town of Innisfil Parkland dedication bylaw requires the same as per the report. However, under recommendation, the staff report says that the owner of this project will submit CIL of parkland payment based on 2% value of the expansion. That means 2% of the land plus the structure, and which is not clearly indicated in the Innisfil bylaw. There it is mentioned only 2% of the land value. Just we need some clarification about that. In view of above, we respectfully request that the town of Innisfil approve exemption from the requirement to provide cash in lieu parkland dedication for Jamia Ahmadiyya Canada campus, or alternatively exercise its discretion under section 4262 of the Planning Act to grant a full exemption recognizing the site's non-profit institutional, religious, educational use and community benefits. We sincerely appreciate the town's consideration and ongoing support for institutions that contribute to the educational, spiritual, and social fabric of the Innisfil community. These confirm the project's eligibility for exemption consideration. AMJ respectfully requests the respected mayor, respected deputy mayor, and respected council members to approve exemption for cash in lieu of parkland dedication based on the following rationale. This is just a summary. The proposed hostel and staff residential building fully aligned with and supports the intent of the Planning Act by reducing external housing demand and ensuring that student accommodation is delivered in a planned, coordinated manner. The legislative
1 minute,
purpose-
Mr. Hadi.
The legislative purpose appears to be focused on profit-motivated developments and not to burden the non-profit charitable communities like AMJ, who spend millions of dollars on the projects of service to humanity. And please, just for your information, that the whole funding for this project is being contributed by the community members from their own pockets, not from any other organization. That fact should also be considered. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments on this item? I'm seeing no questions for you, sir, but if you are patient with us when we get to that item, I'm sure someone will ask questions and you'll hear the fulsome debate on that item on C2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I please ask for a mover and a seconder to receive that delegation request? Councillor Drodge and Councillor Richardson, all those in favor? That is carried. That takes us to item 7, which is where council members who have been appointed by this council to represent us at other authorities and committees, let us know if you've had any meetings over the last 2 weeks. Councillor Richardson.
We had a library board meeting where we had a presentation by staff Max Lupo and Justin Love. They talked about the building of the digital confidence through all the different programs that they have at Makerspace. We spoke about the author visits they've been doing to the local schools as a kickoff for their annual short story contest. And we also discussed about the children's area and how we have a buy a shelf campaign fundraiser to support the children's area renovation, where it's $250 to sponsor a shelf, and you can put your name or your child's name, and that would be there in the library in the children's section.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. Deputy Fowler.
Thank you, Worship. Last week we had traffic safety, and during that meeting 2 things came up that were of merit and of import, which is good. We had a success with 9th Line and 25th Side Road. Councillor Zanell and I were working together on that to get the numbers to justify the warrant for the 4-way stop, the stop signs that are going in, right? So they're going to be looking at doing that, so that's a good thing. And Councillor Richardson brought to my attention right across on Webster from Prince Court, the crosswalk, and we're having discussions about the potential of moving up the crosswalk for potentially a year, if it's feasible, due to the fact that that's a bus location where the children go to Goodfellow. That's where my son went, at least. And the crossing of the road, early hours in the morning, people tend to be in a bit of a rush. So moving forward, we're looking to see what we can do with that. So things are moving forward in that. With regard to county, there was a debate brought up yesterday regarding the household hazard waste and the PRO, or the Producer Responsibility Organizations, what's going to be happening over the next year. There were initially debates to close down the location in Bradford earlier on in the year than not. We're looking at seeing if we can extend it, because ultimately we understand that the companies are not going to have as much as a vested interest as the county will themselves, but they will be the ones taking over come the new year, 2026. And we're looking to see how we can make sure that people don't get comfortable with disposing of hazardous waste in areas that they don't belong. Other than that, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any items that they wish to speak to? Just to add to the Traffic Safety Advisory Committee, that was the 10th and the 25th that we did the warrants for. So you can expect in the new year that because it's met the warrant, that there would be an always stop at the 10th and the 25th. We also had an update from the County of Simcoe. Director Millet came to speak to us about the many projects that the County of Simcoe is working on in the town of Innisfil. And we received an update on the signalization for Big Bay Point and the 20th, that contractor's been hired, locates have been done, and we're going to be moving forward with that project. Police Services Board met twice since the last meeting. The Police Services Board did pass a budget, and that budget will be coming to Town of Innisfil Council. The chair and the chief will be presenting that budget at some point during our budget deliberations. The Empower Board also met, and our budget for 2026 capital and operations budgets were set, and discussions about the utility sector review that the province is currently conducting happened. And other than household hazardous waste at the county, it was our last meeting of 2025. County did pass our new affordable housing and homelessness prevention 10-year plan, which takes us to 2035. We also approved at up to 8 short-term respite beds in our long-term care homes. That is for families that are caring for a loved one that maybe need a break for a little while, and they can ask for one of these respite beds so that they can have a break. And then finally, we received an update on the Greenlands and agricultural systems. The new radar mapping that they're using for the county is much more accurate. It even talks about canopy height and is providing much better mapping for our agricultural areas and our Greenland areas. So that was the last 2 weeks. Seeing no other hands, then we'll move to our consent agenda. For those who haven't been here before, our agenda is printed a week in advance on the website with all of the staff reports. Then we'll go through it. If people want to ask questions, they're more than happy to do so. Or if you want to change a recommendation or provide a different recommendation or some more fulsome debate, we'll pull that to committee of the whole and have that debate at that time. So we'll go through those items and see if which needs to be pulled. The first one is the council meeting minutes dated November the 12th. Next is the reports of various committees. We had the November 6th Innisfil Heritage Advisory Committee meeting. We have the November 7th Council Compensation Ad Hoc Committee meeting. B3, we had the November 11th Innisfil Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting. C1, the Enforcement Housekeeping Bylaw Recommendations. Deputy Mayor?
I'd like to pull that, please.
Thank you. C2, the Parkland Dedication Bylaw Exemption. Deputy Mayor,
I'd like to pull that, please.
thank you. C3, that is a staff report about site alteration permit at 7132 Fifth Side Road. I just had one question, if I could, on that one. I don't think it needs to be pulled. I didn't see in the report anywhere any comments received from either the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority or the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority. I know the watershed boundary wiggles through that area, so I just wondered whether either of those authorities had been consulted. Ms. Mohammed.
Thank you, Your Worship. The site alteration permit, it doesn't require NVCA or LSRCA approval because the property is not within regulated area. You will see there's a supporting letter that there's a severance, there's an application for site plan approval, and both conservation authorities will be consulted during that process and be able to provide comments on the ultimate building and structures that go onto the site.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next is a staff report regarding amendments to the letters of credit policies and subdivision maintenance security provisions. Councillor Waters?
Can I just ask a question? I was about pulling it. In Innisfil, we've had several developments that were nearing completion, and the developers never finished the developments properly. And so the town had to step in and spend the monies that we had that were put on hold for that development, and we reused it to finish off those developments. Does this in any way affect that ability for us to step in at the end and do that effectively?
Director Lee?
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. Through to Councillor Waters. So the policy is speaking to the reduction in the maintenance security, which would be after we would have inspected. Any remediation that needed to happen has happened, and we have given acceptance to the underground or the above ground work. So that 5% reduction that's being proposed to be consistent with other municipalities, the works have been done. It's really that you need to maintain them for that set period of time to make sure that they're working the way we anticipated.
Thank you.
Anything to add from finance? Are we good? Okay, thank you. Then we had our staff reports for information. Staff report D1. Councillor Richardson?
I just wanted to make a comment that I am really disappointed about that the speed cameras aren't there anymore, especially in our school zones. If I look at the chart that was included in that staff report.
Sorry, Councillor, can I ask you to pull that? Because I had a number of questions too, so.
I will gladly pull it.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
D2, staff report with the municipal law activity over the third quarter of 2025. D3, building safer community project updates. Councillor Richardson.
Can I pull that, please?
D4, the 2022 to 2026 council term year 3 progress report. E1, we have a bylaw regarding an exemption, part lot exemption. There are no correspondence for action, so correspondence for information. G1, a letter from MMAH, Building Faster Act. And G2, the bursary program awards from Simcoe County. I just don't want to pull it, but I want to say congratulations to Peyton Navoa and Madeline Pitt, who were the recipients of the County of Simcoe's Bursary Award for their post-secondary school education. So congratulations to them. H1, I'm going to ask I'm going to pull that, and I'm going to ask the deputy to chair when we get to that item. And then we'll go to the consent list continued, please. Mover and a seconder for those items. We're adding H1, there we go, perfect. Moved by Councillor Richardson, seconded by Councillor Saunders. All those in favor? That is carried. And now a resolution to move into committee of the whole, please. Moved by Deputy Fowler, seconded by Councillor Constantine. All those in favor? That is carried. So our first item was the housekeeping bylaw amendments, and it was moved by the deputy.
Thank you, Your Worship. If I need a seconder for this? All right, Councillor Drodge, thank you. I'm reading the report, and some things just kind of come to attention, and I'm just liking some clarification on the matter, please. In the first paragraph, where it says replace section 8, it says that conditions of the process can range from a muzzle to a containment order, et cetera. Staff have not utilized this section for over 10 years. I'm seeking some understanding in the thought process, because when I'm hearing that there's 12 cases in the provincial court that come from Innisfil alone, yet we've done nothing with the rules we've had. That's my first question. If we can get an understanding as to why they haven't been implemented in the first place?
Manager Harris.
Through your worship, thanks for the question. I'd like to just first acknowledge Joseph and his delegation and the specific case that he brought up, and I want to offer my condolences as well. It was a horrible event and a very serious matter. To answer your question, Deputy Mayor, the reason why we haven't used Section 8 historically is because of the Dog Owners Liability Act. So we've used the Dog Owners Liability Act in lieu of Section 8 for a number of reasons. Through that process, we're able to do things like order a muzzle, a containment order. There's a long list of conditions we can put on a dog, up to and including euthanasia of a dog and seizure of a dog. So we've utilized this process because we found it's been successful in previous cases, as well as looking around kind of our municipal comparators. DOLA is kind of the gold standard for more serious matters to get the matter before court, to get these restrictions in place. One of the other points I'd just like to make about DOLA in kind of the positive light from a Section 8 dangerous dog designation is any restrictions put on a dog through the Dog Owners Liability Act move with the dog around the province. So if we order a dog to be muzzled in Innisfil and they move to the city of Barrie, that restriction still applies. The same goes for if the city of Barrie orders a dog to have a muzzle through DOLA and it comes to Innisfil, that dog would still have to be muzzled. Through Section 8, the current section in the Animal Control Bylaw, if we did apply restrictions, if the dog did move out of jurisdiction, those restrictions would not apply.
Follow-up, Deputy?
I have one or two follow-ups if possible. I understand the process and the enforcement at the provincial level. Is it not more efficient to have it done by bylaw so that it takes place in a more rapid time so that the issue is resolved quicker? I just, from my understanding, is if we have the bylaws and we can apply the bylaws within the borders of Innisfil, I understand the limitations, but when it comes down to it, to wait for a provincial court, no, he's having a sidebar. So, to wait for a provincial court that extends the period of time where the danger exists. I'm trying to fathom the comprehension why we would, I understand it has more diligent rules. However, it extends the period of time from the moment of the attack to the point where the restrictions are put into place. Why could we not do something with Section 8 and still go through DOLA? I don't understand that. I'm just trying to understand that.
Manager Harris.
Through your worship to the Deputy Mayor. So good question. So part of the recommendation before Council tonight is to include an interim order section under Section 8, so replacing it. So that would give the ability for staff to issue restrictions on day one of an event while we're going through the POA process. And once that POA process resolves, then those new orders would be in effect going forward.
Okay, so in essence, we're not removing the tools from the toolbox, we're updating them? Is that what you're telling me?
Manager Harris?
Through your worship, that is the intent of the recommendation. So it's clarifying our process through DOLA, and in addition, adding the interim order ability for officers so we can respond quicker while we're going through the court process.
Deputy, are you finished?
I appreciate the intent, I appreciate the desire. I have an old saying that I fall back on in times like these: if it isn't broke, don't fix it. We have the tools within the box to manage it. I think that doing this as an interim is not always going to work. It limits our capabilities as bylaw and then puts it up to the provincial level. It's better to have it available, even though it isn't being used, and then go through the DOLA process without limiting the options that our bylaw officers have that put potentially people at risk. I understand the mentality, I just don't agree. Thank you.
Councillor Drodge?
Thanks, Your Worship. My question is, if you went the way of the town and proceeded through Section 8 and did the legal action that way, could you still afterwards go the provincial route through DOLA? Could you do both?
Manager Harris?
Through your worship, I think the way the process is set up, you would be choosing one or the other. So through Section 8, we could proceed through the clerk designation, but I would have to take that back. I'm not sure if we would then proceed through DOLA after the clerk designation.
So I guess where I'm going with this is, you know, I do see where you're still leaving the actions that we can take place to secure the dog. So, you know, muzzle the dog, contain the dog, tell due process at DOLA. I guess where I'm going with this is if there is an action that we can do through clerks and they still have the option to go to DOLA afterwards, let's say, for an example, the municipality says that the dog is not dangerous. Maybe they don't agree with what the municipality says. They have an extra level that they could go to, i.e. DOLA, to see if they could get any action there. I guess it might have some merit that we can give them a double option. It's just a thought.
Manager Harris?
Thank you. If I could just clarify, I think with the recommendation for adding the interim order, one of the ways I looked at it, kind of as crafting it, is it's giving staff the delegated ability to put the restrictions in place in lieu of the clerk process while we're going through DOLA. So in my mind, it's even a quicker way to kind of get to that point where staff can issue a muzzle order, we can issue a confinement order, kind of at that staff level on day one while we go through the DOLA process. Which would then, at the conclusion of the DOLA process, would then either solidify that order or potentially modify it in some way through the court system.
Follow-up, Councillor Drodge?
Thanks, Your Worship. I understand where you're trying to go with it, and I do see a solution there. I think the residents, and I'm one in particular that's here this evening, has had some bad experiences with DOLA, with timing and the way that process works. I guess what we're trying to do here is to see if we can fast track it. I do think that you are definitely proposing a way where you're still securing the dog, but the process is not getting sped up in any sort of a way. So maybe we need to go back and maybe look at this a little bit more before we even make a recommendation tonight and see if there's a way to fast track it. Maybe the municipality takes initiative right away, because I'm assuming it's the resident that has to initiate DOLA, or do we do that? I'm just curious how that works, and maybe that might be a solution to fast track things, but I would be interested in maybe taking some more time with this just to make sure we've got it correct before we move forward.
Manager Harris?
Through your worship to Councillor Drodge. So the proceedings are initiated by staff, so through the POA. Typically, kind of just to backtrack to kind of give you an idea of when we receive these calls, typically there's two things we do when we get the evidence. One is issue a DOLA statement, which speaks to the conditions that we can put on a dog that has bit or attacked someone. Additionally, we'll lay charges under the animal control bylaw, which are monetary in nature. So we usually pair those together for each file. We also, there's recognition kind of on our end, on the officer's end, as well as the prosecutors, that these matters are more serious than maybe some of the other matters that go through court. So we do try and speed that up. We do generally see a shorter timeline. It could be a month or two, rather than these 6-month, year-long court cases that we find ourselves in. But that's a bit kind of on the end, on the POA end, what we do. And then I guess just to reiterate kind of, again, our intent through this amendment is to clarify what we currently do, the tools we have, while providing staff the ability to issue a muzzle order, let's say, the day of an attack or the day after an attack when we get that information.
Councillor Saunders?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As a dog owner of many, many years, dogs are not dangerous dogs. It's irresponsible dog owners that make the dogs dangerous. I'm in 100% agreement with you with going with the DOLA route, as in if someone gives that dog away to another family and it's a dangerous dog and that family doesn't know, at least the municipality or the other area the dog is moving to, they get informed that that has been a dangerous dog. And that's what has to be kept in it done. Because someone could be a renter here in Innisfil and move to Barrie, Bradford, anywhere there, and that dog could do the exact same thing, and that area doesn't know it. With it being in DOLA, it shows the municipality, the area that they live in, that that dog is a dangerous dog. That's it.
Seeing no other questions at this time, I just wanted to provide a couple of comments. So I've been around long enough to lived through a few of Section 8s. And so I can remember 2, maybe 3 tribunals where council was brought up as a tribunal where the clerks had deemed a dog dangerous. They're not an easy process. The family comes, they bring pictures of the dog being cuddled by a child. They bring testimony that this dog is not dangerous. They cry, and council makes that decision as a tribunal. It's a very difficult position for council to be in because we don't have the expertise to make these decisions, and we're making them in one-offs. And I can tell you in one case where we agreed that a dog wasn't dangerous, and the other case we agreed the dog was dangerous, and again, it was a renter who moved out of town, you know, in 2 weeks after that, so that dog no longer had any protections. The other issue, I think, with Section 8 is the most we can do is containment and muzzle. The provincial court has more power than that. They can have a dog euthanized if it's that dangerous. We can't do that. We don't have the power to do that. So, you know, I did hear that there was some appetite to send this back, but I'm saying right now, even if it goes back, I don't want it to come back as the Section 8 where this council is a tribunal and put in that position of making those decisions, because we've never been around this dog. We're seeing pictures, we're getting testimony. It's not a good system to be in, and it's time consuming. By the time clerks makes that decision and then a tribunal can be had, that's sometimes 2-3 months before that happens. So it's maybe a bit faster than the POA courts, but not a lot. So, you know, that is something that I'm opposed to, is having council sit as that tribunal. But I'll throw it out to any more questions or comments, or if there's any modifications to the recommendation. The one comment I did, or one question I did want to have wasn't on the dogs section at all, but also it was on the sign section, the roads bylaw section 09925 about signs being knocked over. And I wondered, is there the opportunity for, if it's an accident, a traffic collision, is there an opportunity for us to get paid back for those signs through an insurance company? That might be a legal question and not a bylaw question. I'm sorry for that, Mr. Harris.
Yeah, through your worship, I'm not sure off the top of my head. It's something we can take back and get an answer for you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Councillor Richardson.
I actually just wanted to comment on item number 3 about the parking, that I appreciate that there's going to be no parking at the corner at the Webster and Hunter. I've gotten many emails from residents that how unsafe it is they feel, especially with the kids walking back and forth to school and that path and the crosswalk right there. So I was happy to see that as part of the no parking right there at that intersection. So thank you.
Other questions, comments? Deputy Fowler.
Thank you, Worship. Councillor Drudge and I seem to be of the same mindset of sending it back for some more information. I would like some comparative information regarding timelines of using DOLA or keeping Section 8 as to how quickly things would work and how it would break down in each process. We're getting a very high-level view here with a very personal explanation. So before I personally make any decisions, I would like to get a more in-depth comparison of the two, removing Section 8 versus DOLA or keeping Section 8 versus DOLA. And that way we could actually have a better understanding moving forward and what we would be putting ourselves into. Thank you.
Did you want to formulate that recommendation, please? And I'll go to Councillor Drudge.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with the deputy. This is a case of simply I don't know what the process is at DOLA and how that all works and what's the time frames and stuff on that. So I just want to defer this back so that we can have a more compact staff report on what happens after that dog has had an incident and what takes place till DOLA makes a decision and what happens in between there. I just want more information.
CAO Gershow.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. So I'm listening to the comments from council. I'm hearing concerns from some council members about the dog bylaw. Given that this is a bit of an omnibus item, I'm wondering if council would consider dividing the question if it's council's desire to send the dog portion back to staff.
Yeah, that was going to be my comment. So it's only item 4 that is the item in question. So I'll call then for a mover and a seconder for the recommendation, including 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. And before we do that, I'm going to go to Councillor Zanella. I'm sorry, Councillor Zanella, I forgot about you.
Thank you, Your Worship. If we're sending this back, I'd also would like to know what some of the municipalities around us, how they're working with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. So based on what I'm hearing, if we want to take out clause 4 for the animal control bylaw specifically to refer it back, I would suggest that council splits the motion. There's the to deal with clause 4 separately. So you'll vote on all the rest of the bylaw amendments, and then clause 4 will come forward to be referred back to staff.
Thank you very much. So motion to split the recommendation. All those in favor? That is carried. So there's the recommendation for 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. Any further comments on any of the other great work that was done on the amendments of these bylaws? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is carried. And a motion to defer item 4 back to staff. Councillor Waters.
I think part of the problem is that by removing Section 8, we're unsure of what the process would be for getting at these severe events quickly. And so I think when it comes back, it would be nice to know what the process is. So to alleviate the concerns that our residents have, and you did start alluding to some of the things we could still do, but I would just like to know, understand the process a little clearer in terms of that their concerns are addressed. If we choose still to eliminate it, that those safety safeguards are still built into it by going the other route. So I would just like a clear picture of that would be helpful. Thank you.
Mr. Harris, do you have the information that you need to move forward, or are you looking for more clarification?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Yes.
Councillor Drodge?
Thanks, Your Worship. And just to confirm that you can go both actions, that you could, if we kept Section 8, and that you could go that path and then also decide to go to DOLA, because I believe you said you weren't sure how that worked.
Director Harris?
Through Your Worship, I think that's something we can bring back to the report and kind of outline the different processes and when we could take each step. Yep.
Thanks.
Manager Harris, sorry, I gave you a promotion there. All right, so you see the motion on the screen in front of you? No further questions? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Next is item C2, and that was Deputy Fowler.
Thank you. I need a seconder for this, possible. Councillor Drodge, thank you. I'm looking at this, and in the report, they're talking specifically that they don't have, that staff doesn't have the necessary reports regarding, and they're estimating an approximation of $117,000. Now, if you go to the Simcoe GIS map, you're looking at the entire property. The area is broken down into environmentally protected, agriculture, and agricultural 2. Now, the majority of the building that is going to be occurring is within the agricultural 2 area. So my question is, why is the cash and lieu parkland being applied to the entire agricultural area when it's actually naturalized to begin with? To put it into perspective, we're talking for the entire agricultural area approximately 370,000 square meters versus the agricultural 2, which has the school, where they're going to build a mosque, where they're going to put the housing, is only 21,000. That's 5%. So for that 5% that they're building on, we're charging them for the 95%, which is already naturalized. I'm just want to know the process along that line, please.
Manager Correa?
Through you, Mayor Dolan, to Deputy Mayor. So for this process, they would have a qualified appraiser who would factor all those considerations. And on page 1 of the report, it does speak to the 2% being based on the value of the expansion, which would be awfully less than the total value of the land. And so it's also, we understand there's future phases of this development to occur in the future. Each time it would trigger 2% of the value of the expansion, again, which would be considerably less than the overall value of the land. And that's with the principle of not double dipping. It's not collect the same 2% each time, but only based on the value of the expansion.
So can I ask you to clarify a question that the delegate asked then about, it's not the actual building that you're saying, it's the expansion, the land expansion and not the land and the building expansion?
It'd be based on the construction and what's being developed on the land.
So it's both, and that is the day before, help me, it's the timing of the...
Calculated based on the day before a building permit is issued.
Thank you. Other questions, comments? Deputy Mayor?
Okay, thank you. All right, so you're, just for clarification, you're saying on the expansion of the use of the land they intend to use within the entire property itself? Is because if we're built, the way it comes across, and maybe I misunderstand, maybe miscommunication, when you say that they're going to be building something, so we're going to go for the land, I'm thinking for 370,000 square meters, it's a really big mosque. I don't see them putting something that size there. So if it's within, they're expanding the property by even a small percentage to make room for a hostel, which is clearly not a money-making situation, or a mosque, which again does not generate commercial income, how does it apply? Because when it comes down, if you take a look recently, we had a situation with the local synagogue where, you know, there was a property that they were doing DC charges on, and then the town waived $60,000 in DC charges because it was a religious building. What we're looking at here is a mosque and a hostel, which to my understanding is religious in nature. It does not generate income. It does not come forth, and, you know, they're not going to be able to buy Benzes with the money being made here. It's nothing even close to that. So, I mean, it's a similar situation where we tell people that you're coming to Innisfil, you're welcome to express your beliefs and grow in our community. Why do we pay, like $117,000 is not, in my opinion, is not a small amount, right? And this is for a community that is funded by donations and volunteers. So I'm just trying to understand, if they got the appraisal, would that alter anything? Or is there a way we can say, you know, again, because this is a religious organization that runs off the volunteerism and the donations of the people within that organization, can we not at least assist them somehow?
I'm going to let Manager Correa answer that, and I don't know if that's an apples-to-apples comparison with the development charges and the parkland dedication, but if you could just speak to that.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. And I was just looking at, I believe it's at the bottom of page 1 of the report where it talks about the Planning Act specifically, and under Section 42 of the Planning Act, the exemption that's provided is specifically nonprofit housing development, and then we speak to what that entails. And so from staff's perspective, there isn't an exemption in the Planning Act under Section 42, which is the cash in lieu of parkland associated with religious organizations. So we can't apply an exemption that doesn't exist in the legislation. That's what essentially we're trying to get across through the staff report.
Councillor Waters.
So that was perfect, because my question pertains to exactly that. So I understand what you're saying in terms of where the exemption is applied to nonprofit housing. So, and it doesn't apply to religious institutions and educational institutions. So my question is, because they're housing the students on site, does this not create a gray area that allows council, you know, the latitude to maybe accept that exemption? Thank you.
Manager Correa.
So through Mayor Dolan over to Councillor Waters. So the Planning Act sort of directs you to the Development Charges Act, which has quite prescriptive definitions of how to interpret the housing. And so while there's certainly a residence component, page 2 of the report speaks to what would be defined based on the Development Charges Act as non-for-profit housing, and it wouldn't meet that definition. So we looked at the legislation and did not feel that it applied as an exception.
Mayor Dolan, can I just expand further on Councillor Waters' question? Because I think the other fundamental, and it probably speaks to the options section of the report, the town's current parkland bylaw doesn't actually have an exemption section in it. So in order to allow an exception of any kind, whether it's this or others, you would actually have to amend the bylaw first to provide that exemption provision. So there isn't actually a section that staff can say they don't meet this section, give them a site-specific exception. There isn't a section in the bylaw currently.
And would it be a site-specific exception? Like, so if the bylaw was rewritten, it would be for, not just for the fourth line property, but for something more general as far as not-for-profit or religious places of worship? Like, how would that work?
So I think staff would be looking for some direction from council in terms of what you would be looking broadly or site-specifically to exempt, understanding, and I don't recall where it is in the report, but we do speak to, you know, the precedent and then that cost that would be the outcome of providing those exemptions.
Thank you. And I don't know if I'm guessing the last new build would have been the synagogue at the 6th Line and Maple, and whether or not there were parkland dedication paid at that time. But that would be going back a few years. I've got Councillor Ices and then Deputy Mayor Feller.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you to staff for that explanation. I'm wondering if there is an opportunity somehow for the town to use the applicant's property for recreational or parkland services for the town in lieu of asking for the cash in lieu. I don't know the property well enough to know if there's, you know, sports fields or buildings that the town could possibly use to satisfy the needs of that bylaw. I know this might not be a perfect example, but at Alcona Glen, you know, the town has got the opportunity to use that facility to benefit the residents with the Parkland recreational facility. So wondering if there's an option there to help get us through this gray area.
Thank you, Mayor Dolan. I think it's something staff would have to explore further, and we'd also have to talk to the applicants about whether that's something they want to consider in terms of having the public on their property, and they'd probably want to look at what that liability looks like. So, I mean, we can certainly take that back and look at it further from that perspective if that's council's direction.
CEO Gershow.
Thanks, Mayor Dolan. So a suggestion, you know, if it's council's will to grant the exemption, just direct us to do that and we'll prepare the bylaw accordingly, rather than, you know, going through linguistic gymnastics to, you know, redefine what a proposed use actually is. It's generally best for us to be precise and consistent when we interpret our bylaws. You know, there's, as Director Lee said, there are not existing provisions for exemption in the bylaw. If you want to grant an exemption, you can direct us to update the bylaw. And I think, as you heard the last time when the delegation was made, you could actually zoom out a bit and consider the more general policy question of whether you want to grant similar organizations exemptions as well. So if that's council's will, we can implement that.
Thank you. And if we did go that route, I would want the report to also cover any precedent, like anyone that has paid that would now want money back, or anybody who in the future would then request same. Councillor Waters and then Deputy Mayor.
Just a thought that if you didn't want to broaden it to all religious institutions, could you refine it so that, you know, would we want to have an Upper Canada College here, which has residential living and academic, and they're nonprofit, and, you know, it could be nonprofit, it may not be Upper Canada, because I don't think they are nonprofit. But I'm just saying, if we refined the focus of what we wanted in a bylaw, then it wouldn't be so a shotgun approach to a whole bunch of different institutions, that we narrow it down to, it might be something we want to attract, and we can always expand that bylaw later, but if we keep it narrow now, then we don't have to go back to other institutions and say, oh, by the way, we expanded now we, you know, that it now applies to you. So I'm just trying to think, if we narrowed it down to a bylaw that was around, it could be educational institutions with housing on it, or religious institutions with, I think either or works. It could be religious, educational, and has housing on it. It could be narrowing down to that. But I also liked Councillor Heisey's opening the box and looking at it a different way. So just a thought. Thank you.
Deputy?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to keep it straight and simple. Just a blanket statement regarding religious affiliations or organizations. I don't see a bunch of reports coming in or plans with, 85 churches or 34 mosques or 72 synagogues suddenly showing up on the radar. I don't see that occurring in the long term. So what I would prefer, and I think from the discussion, there appears to be a bit of an appetite, I would like to open up the bylaw and just say for religious organizations, official religious organization, that opens it up to the Sikhs, the Hindus, the Jewish faith, the Muslim faith, the Christian faith. We can have it in such a manner that when it's put forth, that if someone wishes to bring their religious beliefs and they wish to build and create a community in Innisfil, we can assist them in establishing themselves. And we don't have to be specific. We can just say, at their affiliated religious organization that's nonprofit, and we can do that. And I think that's what I would like to do if we could do something like that. I'd put that on the floor.
Did you have some particular language around that, Deputy?
Yes, that this be referred back to staff to investigate the potential to waive the 2% cash in lieu of parkland with regard to not-for-profit religious affiliations.
And do you have a seconder?
Councillor Zanella.
We'll just wait for that to come up on the screen and then take questions. We're giving our new clerk a workout tonight. Clerk Marshall.
Just one piece for clarification. Just seeking, you're referring the whole thing back to staff to report back on a bylaw amendment? Are you wishing to grant the exemption tonight, or that is going to also come back?
I would rather put it back so that it's not a piecemeal location. If we do it, we set the bar, and then they automatically come under the umbrella moving forward along with other associations.
First, I'll ask the mover and the seconder if they're comfortable with the language. CAO Jershell.
A suggestion for the wording be referred back to staff to propose a policy for the exemption of not-for-profit. Exemption of. Sorry, referred back to staff to propose a policy for the exemption of not-for-profit or religious institutions. And I think the wording makes clear we're talking about the parkland dedication bylaw.
Okay, questions or comments on the motion that's on the floor? I'm getting some confused looks. Councillor Drudge.
Just for clarification, currently our bylaw states that we do include not-for-profit, is that correct? Like, as it stands right now?
Correct. The bylaw includes everything and doesn't provide exemptions.
Sorry, so it doesn't provide any exemptions for non-for-profit, religious, or anything else other than, okay, I understand.
CAO Jershell?
And apologies, Council, just trying to get this right. I think I'd like to suggest be referred back to staff to propose a policy and associated bylaw amendments. Better? Thank you.
Councillor Ices.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just something popped in my head about organizations asking for their parkland dedication back. Would there be any instances where a non-for-profit has paid the parkland dedication recently? Or you mentioned the YMCA. I know they're maybe a tenant in our building, but if a YMCA built here, they would have paid the parkland dedication.
Director Lee?
Mayor Dolan, we can certainly, when we're bringing that back, indicate, we want to make sure we're accurate in terms of looking back on any applications that would be potentially requesting a refund of paying that. So we'll advise when we bring that policy forward.
Thank you.
Councillor Waters?
I do have a bit of concern around the not-for-profit. There are lots of not-for-profit organizations out there, and we may not necessarily agree with what their mandates are and that kind of stuff. So I'm not too sure, I'm not even going to say what I want to say, but I'm a bit concerned. Like, I understand religious institutions, if it said not-for-profit religions and institutions might make me feel more comfortable, but just generally not-for-profit, you can get all sorts of not-for-profits that we may not necessarily agree with, and we automatically give them exemptions for whatever they want to do on that property. So I do feel a little uncomfortable with that, the way it's written right now.
Is that okay now?
It changed while you were speaking, sir. So, but I will go to the mover and seconder to see if they're comfortable with that change being made. Deputy Fowler.
Thank you, Your Worship. I do approve this. It narrows down the scope, and it focuses specifically on the not-for-profit religious institutions, which I think was the purpose of this bylaw exemption request to begin with. I want to keep it tight and leave as little wiggle room as possible. Thank you.
Councillor Drodge.
Thanks, Your Worship. Just a comment on Councillor Icy's comment. We're looking to change bylaw here, so we're setting the new standard. We're not making an exception for this one particular individual that came forward, the Amidai Society. So I don't think we're going to have any recourse on previous stuff because we're actually changing bylaw. We're asking to change the bylaw. So that happens all the time. So I think we'd be okay that way.
I have one final question, and the parkland dedication is solely for Innisfil. This isn't something that we have to provide some to the county and some to the school board, and it's solely for Innisfil?
That's correct.
All right, I see no other questions or comments, and I will call the vote. All those in favor of the recommendation on the screen? Any opposed? That is carried. Next is item D1, and that was Councillor Richardson.
Councillor Drodge is my seconder. Like I said, I just wanted to kind of comment that I was disappointed that they are gone. I understand that they're gone. Just because of the difference and the impact, like looking at the last page of that staff report where it shows like at Killarney Beach that at first the average speed was 68 kilometers and then it went down to that 52. And same with that Alcona Glen, it's 62 down to 42. I see so many families that are jaywalking right there just before the light and just thinking about those guys going back to that 62 and a kid crossing the road just makes me so nervous. So I'm disappointed that they've taken them out and they're not going to keep them even just in the school zones. I think they're such a valuable tool to our community and other communities.
Hear, hear.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. I felt the same way. In fact, I wrote send this data to the province on my notes. So I really do think that, we should say, yes, we did take them away. This is how much impact they had on our community, and now we don't have them anymore. I did want to ask a question about the Stroud, why there's no data for the Stroud Community Safety Zone. Ms. Lockhart.
To your worship, we actually did not have before data for that Stroud stretch. We did have data through Stroud, but it was on Victoria on the east-west and not the north-south.
Thank you. Other questions or comments on this? So I want to ask about, on page 106, it talks about new positions. Oh, I know what it was about, sorry. So it was about the talk about the staff, taking off the staff time, which was the amount for the traffic safety portfolio, operation staff costs and municipal law staff costs. Were those new positions that we hired for those jobs, or was that staff time for staff that were already here and maybe doing something else before?
Thanks, Your Worship. I'm just recalling back, so we've had quite a journey with both ASC and red light camera. And it was early in that journey that we advised council that there was a sufficient workload and expected revenues that would be able to offset the addition of a traffic safety specialist within the operations group. And so since we've been evolving the program and as we've moved into administrative penalties, there was a point in time when we came back as well and advised that as we shift to administrative penalties, which would also change the revenue model, there would be a sustainable ability to have resources also to support that move. So those did come about through this journey, but also do not entirely support ASC. So they're also involved in the case of operations, in our roads, traffic and transportation portfolio, a number of other projects in addition to traffic safety.
Thank you for that. And then finally, the cameras that we took down, we own? And if so, I've heard of other municipalities talking about repurposing. I know Newmarket, Brampton, wondered if there's opportunity to repurpose, like into red light cameras or something, for instance.
Yes, to your worship. We actually do not own those cameras. We leased them, and so they are going back to the camera company. So in terms of, yes.
Anyone else, questions or comments on this item? All those in favor of receiving, thank you. All those in favor of sending a letter to the Premier with our data? There we go. I don't need I'll do that. Next is item D3, and again, that's Councillor Richardson.
Councillor Saunders will be my seconder. So I just wanted to bring up, I'm a huge supporter of teen and youth engagement in our community. Looking through that report, since 2024, they've had 935 local youth that attended these events. Survey that they did, there was 96% of the kids said it was a safe space for teens. This summer, I got a video of a fight that happened at the beach that was just awful. And so seeing that this is where they feel safe just breaks my heart. And I've heard about Fight Club that's happening at Nantyre and stuff like that. So just seeing this, that how impactful this is on our community, and that we're going to lose it just breaks my heart. At the end of December, teen nights are done. And this has been such a great impact and great tool for our youth. The YCAN that they speak about, I actually belong to that group, and it's great. It's a great way they've connected so many different services to our youth that they may not have known about. So I would really love if we could have the staff, my plan would be to have the staff to come up with a plan that we could find a way to fund this still, as I know that the funding is done. But there's got to be a way that we can, is there a way that we can as a community pay for this to continue this so that we're not losing this for our youth? Because I think that it is just looking at these stats, looking at these comments and hearing comments from parents in the community that it's just a shame that we have to lose so many of these programs because of this funding.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. So the answer is yes, we can fund anything. We've got some very serious and difficult budget deliberations that start at our next meeting on December the 10th, and some difficult choices to make. And this, we were very fortunate to get this federal money to run this program. We tried. The video that is embedded in the staff report that the kids made themselves, we sent that to the federal minister along with a letter, I want to say close to begging, but not, for that funding to continue, and told them how good it was. The federal budget came out last week, a few weeks ago. No mention, totally silent on the Building Safer Community funds. So assuming no, I know staff have been turning rocks over, seeing if they can find some funding. We knew this was going to happen this time last year when we were doing the budget. We were told then that the funding was ending and that it was going to end at the end of December. We gave direction to staff to look to see if there was alternate ways of funding it. And I think that they're still trying to do that, but I'll go to Ms. Foster, sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, to your point, Mayor Dolan, we have continuously sought out external funding opportunities to sustain many of our Building Safer Communities project initiatives, and to date have unfortunately been unsuccessful.
We've also reached out to a few community groups too, to see if anybody might be interested in helping. So we'll keep working on it, but you'll get more information on December the 10th. Any other questions? Thanks. Go ahead, Councillor Constantine.
I just want to ask if you have reached out, like local businesses, like the banks and places like that.
Ms. Foster?
I'll take that one.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
Sorry, Director Figluzzi.
Through you, Mayor Dolan, to Councillor Constantine. At this point, our grant funding explorations have really been for large ticket grant opportunities. Recognizing sustainability of these programs does require large investments. We do have plans in place to explore smaller scale sponsorships to support some of the ancillary costs. But at this time, our focus has been on the broader public sector grants that are available. And we have also worked with our partners to help them explore grant opportunities that they may be eligible for as well.
Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor of the recommendation to receive the information? That is carried. Next is our RISE recommendation, please. Moved by Councillor Saunders, seconded by Councillor Eisses. All those in favor? That's carried. And we'll go to consideration to adopt the recommendations from our committee of the whole discussions this evening. Moved by Councillor Zanella, seconded by Councillor Drodge. All those in favor? That's carried. And we'll go to, I think, noticeable. Oh, sorry. The notice which motion has been given. So I'll turn the gavel over to the deputy.
Thank you, Worship. Many Innisfillians know who Brad Charles Cook was.
We need a mover and a seconder first.
Councillor.
So it's my motion, so I'm going to move it, and Councillor Eisses is my seconder.
Okay,
thank you. And if I could speak to it?
By means.
Mr. Chair, thank you. So this was a request by Ms. Cook to see if there was something we could do to honor her husband, who passed away this year, and after consultation with the family, we came up with this street naming request. So it's not a legal street naming request because it is on a private street, which is the street going into the Y. But we can, similar to how we did when we had the auction and auctioned off the street name going into where the Canadian Tire is. So the same process. And the family was satisfied with that. Thank you.
Okay, any questions or comments regarding this? Nothing at this moment in time, then I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next is the notice of motion is from Councillor Drodge, which will be considered at the December 10th meeting. And finally, then we'll go to announcements. And I'll go to Councillor Eisses.
Thank you, Worship. This Saturday, I think it's Saturday, November 30th, the annual pajama toss with the Spartans at 3:30 at the YMCA. On December 6th, the Stroud Fire Station tree lighting is happening again. And also on December the 6th, the Winter Wonders Market at the Stroud Community Center is at 10 a.m. Also wanted to recognize Ice Corp with their involvement in the Innisfil Santa Claus Parade that we participated in this past Sunday. A great job by them, and being in the float with Santa and Councillor Drodge, we got to see them making sure we're safe, keeping the excited kids away from the side of the truck. So thank you to Ice Corp.
Thank you, Councillor Eisses. Councillor Constantine.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is the, it's just a reminder for the Senior Wish Foundation that their boxes are out. They collect, goods to make campaign of love for the seniors. So the boxes are at different places at the Legion, Foodland, and Don Davidson Restaurant at Big Bay Point. So if you're in the vicinity, they collect like socks, warm thing for the seniors. It's for the retirement home on Innisfil Beach Road. So please support it.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Richardson.
This Saturday, November 29th, is the annual Gingerbread House contest put on by our Innisfil Rotary Group. Lots of fun to attend and lots of really great creations. Also, they have started up now at the Lakeshore branch is a crochet club, so every Thursday from 1:30 to 2:30. Coming up is on December 16th is our annual holiday sing-along at Town Square. Also, I'm working on cards for seniors, so if you've got some holiday cards you'd like to donate to go to the seniors, let me know, as well as Light Up Innisfil.
Thank you. Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Your Worship. November 28th is Euchre Night at the Innisfil Lions Club. Also on November 28th is the tree lighting at Station 1 at 6 p.m. if you want to go down there and see the tree lit up. And then Goodfellow Public School has a Goodfellow Holiday Market on November 29th. And then December 2nd, Alcona Glen has its winter market. All the things going on in Ward 4. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Zanella. Nothing this evening. Councillor Saunders.
Thanks. The Friday Harbor has a holiday market on the weekends all the way up until Christmas. And the Rotary Food Drive within Sandy Cove with the train going around. And it's only Rotary people that'll be on the train collecting food for the food drive is December 10, 11, and 12. And then they'll drop by the Cove for some hot chocolate.
Councillor Drodge.
Thanks, Your Worship. November 28th and 29th, the Guildford Local Eatery is doing a tree lighting on the Friday and doing a Christmas market on the Saturday, starting at 11. Also on November 29th, there's a Christmas market at the Grange Hall, starting at 9 a.m. Also on the 29th, C4K Charity Concert in Churchill United Church is taking place at 7:30. On November 30th, Three Feathers is hosting their annual holiday market. On December 5th to the 7th, the Cookstown Antique Mall is doing their Victorian Market from Friday to Sunday.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor.
Apparently everyone's got the markets covered and the events covered and everything's good, so I'm just going to lay back and let everybody else talk.
Wonderful. Thank you. That doesn't happen often. So anybody looking for the winter programming guide, it is out. However, we did not put it in the mail this year due to the issues with Canada Post, but it is online, and there's also copies here if you'd like to pick it up. This morning, I was pleased to be a guest at the Rotary Club event, or the Rotary Club's meeting, and meet Noah Amaral. Noah is a very young entrepreneur who started his own poop and scoop business when he was like 10 years old, and he was the recipient of the Rotary Young Leadership Award this year, and I was pleased to recognize him for that. I also wanted to take a moment and congratulate Councillor Zanello's mother-in-law, Victoria, who turned 100 this week. That's quite the milestone, so congratulations to her. And probably not close to 100 yet, but I want to wish Councillor Waters a happy birthday on the 28th. I also wanted to say that I attended both the Innisfil Garden Club's annual general meeting along with the Innisfil Historical Society's annual general meeting, and I want to thank all of the residents who put their name forward to run the executives of these groups that do so much for our community. Also, I want to thank Marge Mossman and Felice, and I don't know Felice's last name, who ran a program at Sandy Cove Acres on Tuesday, which was a history of Sandy Cove Acres. They did it in conjunction with the Historical Society, and there wasn't a parking spot left. It was just packed. And it was a wonderful event looking at clubs that had happened in the past and the history of Sandy Cove Acres and how it got to be what it is today. And then finally, I would like to say that on a sad note, a couple of celebrations of life. One is for Glenn Williams. Glenn was an employee at the town of Innisfil at the water treatment plant and a hobby farmer. Passed away this week, and our condolences to his wife Joanne and his kids Luke and Rebecca. And also I attended the celebration of life for Merle Spring. Merle was a longtime resident, had 9 children, many of whom are still in the Innisfil area, along with grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And she would be dearly missed by her family and her friends, which all gathered at the Masonic Hall in Stroud last Sunday. And that is it, unless there's any other announcements. I'm seeing none. December the 10th is our next meeting. It's the last meeting for 2025. I don't know where this year went. And if I could ask for a mover and a seconder, please, for the confirming bylaw and adjournment. Moved by Councillor Drudge, seconded by Councillor Richardson. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Just a reminder to council that we do have to finish our closed session meeting. And so we'll go back immediately, please, into the boardroom so we can let staff out of here at a decent time. Thanks, everyone, and have a great evening. Good night.